Anyway, so last time we took a look at some secret doctrine footnote references on the Maharajas, the Lapika lords, and karma, which these two groups regulate. The Maharajas and Lapikas are also part of a list of groups that demonstrate the bridging, transformative energy of fourness, which is so potent on the fourth or Buddhic plane that even a slight contact with it enables the disciple to escape from the systemic fourth etheric. So this is real relevant to building the Antakarana. So just touching in on the intuitional plane allows escape from the fourth etheric onto the astral plane. We then learned that similar escapes are made on the fourth subplane of each plane, and that cosmic entities began to make their escape from the cosmic physical plane on the Buddhic plane. It is also on this plane that the fourth initiate finally escapes from the personality ring passed out. So it's a major plane of endeavor, goal for discipleship to shift one's consciousness onto the Buddhic plane, which we do via the Antakarana. We finished the session last time with a series of quotes on the first initiation, at which time, quote, the Christ child has been born in the cave of the heart and consciously controls the lower material bodies by means of consecrated mind. And this brings us up to where we left off last time, which describes those stages of spiritual evolution that follows the fourth initiation. So could we get a reader for this first passage?
Yeah, Heike.
There yet remains the development of full consciousness on the three higher planes of spirit before he can escape from the solar ring pass knot, which is achieved at the seventh initiation, taken somewhere in the system, or its cosmic correspondence reached by the cosmic sutratma, or cosmic thread of life. Sutratma, the silver thread, which incarnates from the beginning of a period of manifestation until the end, stringing upon itself the pearls of human existence. It is the line of energy which connects the lower personal man with his Father in heaven via the ego, the mediating middle principle. Upon it are found those focal points of energy we call the permanent atoms.
Thank you, Micah. Okay, so first up, there yet remains the development of full consciousness on the three higher planes of spirit before he can escape from the solar ring pass knot, which is achieved at the seventh initiation. Taken somewhere in the system or in its cosmic correspondence reached by the cosmic sutratma or cosmic thread of life. So after fully coordinating the Buddhic vehicle on the fourth cosmic subplane, which happens at the fourth initiation, the initiate mounts the cardinal cross and works towards monadic identification. During the next three initiations, she masters the highest three cosmic ethers. Amazing to learn that the seventh initiation can be taken not only somewhere in the solar system other than on Earth, but even, quote, in its cosmic correspondence, which is reached by means of the cosmic sutratma or cosmic thread of life, indicating that the sutratma or life thread is a universal principle that links this solar system to its higher sources. Let's take a look at the footnote, which is referenced by, quote, cosmic sutratma or cosmic thread of life. Can we get a, let's say you just read that, so I'll reread this. The silver thread which incarnates from the beginning of a period of manifestation until the end, stringing upon itself the pearls of human existence, all past lives, are strung, one could say, on this sutratmic thread. It is the line of energy which connects the lower personal man with his Father in heaven via the ego, the mediating mental principle. Upon it are found those focal points of energy we call the permanent atoms. So we learned earlier that the sutratma is part of a cord that includes the entire etheric body. A passage in the later sections of Treatise on Cosmic Fire describes just how this cord is built. Can we get a reader, please?
Joe.
Yes, I'm here. These elementals are the little entities who, adhering to the plan as embodied by the builders, blindly construct the fabric of the body and form the sheath through which the ego is to express himself. On the etheric planes, they build the real form out of etheric substance and produce the sheath of intricate lines of interlacing fiery strands, which is in reality an extension of the sutratma or life thread. As it is woven and interlaced, it becomes vitalized with the life energy sent down from the ego.
Thank you, Joe. So of particular note in this footnote is the fact that the sutratma includes the permanent atoms, in which it stores the myriads of lifetimes of experience. So you have the lifetimes themselves, which are strung on the sutratma all the way back. Plus you also have these focal points of energy called the permanent atoms that retain the essential aspects of each of the sheaths of incarnation. So, okay. By the way, you can ask questions, make comments anytime you want during this presentation. Next up, can we get a reader, please? I see Joe's hand. Yes, Joe.
Thanks for inviting the question. I'm just aware that with Sutratma, this is quite a different understanding than I've ever had. And I don't know whether you mean to explore it in this section or not, but I'd be
Not
interested.
too much. Not too much, but we can, any questions you have about it, happy to try to answer.
Well, the specific one is that I've always interpreted the Sutratma as being the life of this particular incarnation. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And what this is saying is that the Sutratma really holds all of those forms from how many eons we've lived.
Yeah, it would seem so. He doesn't expand in this footnote on just how far back it goes, but it suggests that since one enters the fourth kingdom, that those lives are stored in the Sutratma. It also suggests that, the Sutratma connects on the monadic plane. Well, also on the monadic plane is the Akashic records. And it suggests that those lifetimes are held in that substance, right? So, but it's interesting because usually the emphasis is on, the Sutratma connects to the disciple, to the human, in a given lifetime, and that when that sutratma snaps or withdrawn, the life is over, right? It doesn't usually address its continued existence. So really what's going on is there's a reattachment of the sutratma in the succeeding life, you know. It doesn't change any of the teaching about how the sutratma works within a given life, you know, that it's has that twofold quality to it, that it connects both in the head and in the heart. But we have this additional information on its full nature or its longevity. I see more.
Thanks. I think that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Hands?
Hi. Unless I'm misunderstanding this, in the footnote, it says the sutratma strings upon itself the pearls of human existence, meaning I think that that which is worth saving out of the existence. In other words, the vibratory energies of the different bodies that have had experienced it. And then at the end of the sentence, it says, it calls them the permanent atoms. And I think that's what the permanent atoms do, is they hold that which is worth saving. So I'm not sure what it means that it's holding the lives themselves on the sutratma.
Yeah, I think you've got a good point there, that it's, it's not, parsing that difference is interesting. What are the previous lives? They are in total held in the permanent atoms, all aspects, but from a vibratory level, not from the literal level, though I'm sure that any literal aspect could be interpreted from the information that is held in these permanent atoms. For instance, the physical permanent atom probably has within it the physical appearance in a given lifetime, but it's stored as an energetic nexus, you could say. DK says at one point that these permanent atoms aren't really atoms at all. They're these nexus of force. What is it? Nexuses? I don't know. Of force that hold that information, and that it's a progressive information. That is to say, the information that you have in your current permanent atoms is an accumulation of all that has gone before. So just how that parses out in terms of, this very poetic idea of stringing upon itself the pearls of human existence, who knows?
Well, just to expand on that for a moment, remember the permanent atoms exist in the causal body. And so only energies which are able to be saved or utilized by the causal levels make it into the causal body. So for example, out of a lifetime, rather than in the astral permanent atom, it would have the ability to love or to aspire or to have higher desires from the higher subplanes, as opposed to, all the baser, greedy emotions of self-will.
Yeah, that's a good argument. It wouldn't necessarily hold lower, for instance, astral experiences. And why should it? What's the use? But there is also something of the overall quality of the sheath that is held, because you pick up where you left off in terms of the qualities you've built into those sheaths, right? That determines what both your limitations and your potentials for the following lives, those are held in the permanent atoms. So, we're just left with that much info on that,
Well, you can think of that as think of the subplanes as having certain numerical vibratory types of energy, so that the energies perhaps of the first and second subplanes, whatever has made it into an average life. That could be held, but for the lower subplane astral energies or mental energies wouldn't really be, like you said, worth saving.
Yeah, I'm actually resonant with your theory, with your idea. It's a good counter to the idea that, every time you scratched yourself and your
Right.
dog, that it's recorded somehow. Though we're told that in the Akashic records that it's all there if it needs to be recalled.
Right, and that, yeah, which is a different thing. But yes, I think somewhere all the scratching of the dogs is recorded, but not along the sutratma or in the causal body.
Yeah. Okay. Another participant, Mikhail, could you oversee this?
Catherine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No,
Catherine?
yeah,
Hi, Francis.
there you go.
Hi. I wanted to just double check something you said to be sure. I think I heard you say that the sutrama connects at the head and heart, and I thought it connected at the head and the consciousness thread was at the head.
Yeah, and the consciousness thread, the sutratma, there's the sutratma proper, which is the life thread that connects in the heart. But then there's the greater, you could say the greater system, which is really part of the entire etheric. And that connects, actually, there's a fivefold connection that when you study the Antakarana and the information about the points of attachment, that three of the connections that are become part of this higher linking are generated by the disciple, and two are given or are part of the equipment. One is what's called the sutratma proper, which connects in the heart, and then the other, which is the larger understanding of the sutratma, connects in the head, the consciousness aspect, anyway, that's the information on that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Anyone else? Is that it?
Tom.
Oh, Tom. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Tom.
Just came into my mind about what is recorded in the permanent atoms. I remember from Leadbeater old teaching that there's a distinction between what is recorded in the, let's say, physical and astral permanent atoms and what is recorded in the causal body. And in the causal body are those essential qualities. Nothing bad goes there. But in these permanent atoms of the first triad, so you would record everything for karmic reasons. So there's that kind of distinction. I'm not sure if it is in daily books.
Yeah. Also, one support of that idea is that the Maharajas who mete out karma do so through a review of the permanent atoms. Their means of connecting is through the permanent atoms, and that would support the argument you just made. Now, Leadbeater is hit and miss. Sometimes he's, I question some of the things he says, and other times I think he's this incredibly valuable source of information. So it doesn't come from DK. You just have to keep that in mind. It would be, on your own time, do a search of the DK material on the phrase permanent atom and see what comes up. I haven't done that for a while. I think I've done it in the past, but haven't done it for a while. And I'm sure that would be quite interesting read, just to review that idea, to see if he supports any of the ideas that have been put forward here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet, Tom. You make a good point with that, Tom. You make a good point because of the karmic connection. Yes.
This is still Treatise.
Maria.
Maria.
Hello, Christina will be good.
Oh, Christina. I didn't hear Christina. I heard Maria. Christina
Yes,
Maria. That's what he said. Okay. How are you doing?
hanging in there.
Good.
I am fascinated by the permanent atoms of late. And I recall reading, I wish I could find it, because the words that were used, one aspect of them was that they feed the causal body. They're used as feeders to the causal body. They bring and help it to, be created. I guess we feed it to kind of a conjunction with the solar angel, but he really uses the word that they're feeders for the
Who does? Who does? Is this decay material?
Yes, this is cosmic fire.
Oh, okay.
This is
Interesting.
somewhere here
You
in
know, that
cosmic
actually,
fire.
yeah,
If I
that
find
makes
it, I'll let you know.
yeah, that makes sense because the soul and soul, the causal body is not aware of our daily movements or of our daily feelings and thoughts. It's exists in a material of the higher mental plane, and therefore it would make sense that its method of being aware of the lower sheaths would be through the permanent atoms, and that could be interpreted as being feeders. That's
Yeah,
very
he uses the word feeder, which is, I think of it as stones in the quarry, Masonically speaking. But he uses the word, and I'm going to look it up. If I find it, I'll post it.
Come back on. Yeah, great. Thanks, Maria. Is it Maria Christina? Christina Maria.
Christina, ándale pues.
Okay, next up.
That's all we got for hands.
Okay, good. For now. Okay, let me get back up to where we were. So, next reader, please.
Kirsten.
This fourth earth chain is in this connection one of the most important, for it is the appointed place for the domination of the etheric body by the human monads, with the aim in view of both human and planetary escape from limitations. This earth chain, though not one of the seven sacred planetary chains, is of vital importance at this time of the planetary logos, who temporarily employs it as a medium of incarnation and of expression. This fourth round finds the solution of its strenuous and chaotic life in the very simple fact of the shattering of the etheric web in order to effect liberation and permit a later and more adequate form to be employed.
Thank you. Okay, so first up, this fourth earth chain is, in this connection, one of the most important, for it is the appointed place for the domination of the etheric body by the human monad, with the aim in view of both human and planetary escape from limitations. This is the kind of statement that only a master with DK's perspective could make, because you would have to have knowledge at these higher levels and of the plan itself in order to make a statement like this. So the Earth scheme is illustrated on the left with a detail of the Earth chain at right. This is the entire scheme, the entire life progress of the planet itself, and then this is the one of seven chains, the fourth chain of this Earth scheme. Okay. Note that this is a continuation of DK's exegesis on the bridging energy of the number 4. That's the theme. The main theme is probably going to stay the theme for the entire session. He really is driving this idea home. It would seem that the reason that the 4th earth chain is especially suited for domination of the etheric vehicle by the monad is because the energy of 4-ness, which it demonstrates, helps to release the initiate from the 4th etheric subplane, both systemically and cosmically, both at this level and at this level. Let's take a look at MDR's notes on this passage. Can we get a reader, please?
Yep. Maria Christina.
There we go. Maria Christina, right.
The major chains are given as follows. Cosmic Fire 600. 7 chains, major 147. At our particular point in planetary history, the number 4 is dominant. Earth is the 4th planetary scheme. The planetary logos of Earth is focused on his 4th chain, which is in its 4th round. There is a still more minute focus on the 4th globe of the 4th chain, in which chain he is taking his 4th initiation. And in all this, man, the 4th creative hierarchy, manifesting as a 4th kingdom, plays a significant role. Wow, we see now why Master DK has been discussing the dynamics of escape. Such escape is on the agenda of accomplishments for our planetary logos during this 4th chain. The number 4, being one of the numbers of matter, can be considered from a certain perspective as a number of limitation. Since there are 4 ethers and the human monads are meant to express on the 4th or Buddhic plane, and since Buddhi is the energy which from the first engineers escape from form, we can see why this 4th chain should be the appointed place for the domination of the etheric body. As a human monad with certain deva monads, goes to form the chakras of our planetary logos, we can see why the achievement of such monads would also mean the achievement of the planetary logos. And we have already seen how human achievement leads to planetary Egoic achievement, which leads to solar Egoic achievement.
Thank you, Maria Christina.
Thank you.
Any thoughts about this? You can see that we are in a phase now of 4-ness, and that DK has been emphasizing this, and all the groups that are energetically aligned with this energy of 4-ness, which is bridging and transformative. We get some sense of it by the name of the 4th ray, right? Harmony through conflict, right? That achievement of this stage of harmony, which then allows for transformation. So you can see why there's this particular opportunity at this point of all this alignment of 4. And actually, DK talks more about this as we go forth. Okay, next up. This Earth chain, though not one of the 7 sacred planetary chains, is of vital importance at this time to the planetary logos, who temporarily employs it as a medium of incarnation and of expression. Now, this is an arresting statement. By focusing on the fact that the Earth chain, not scheme, but chain, is not one of the 7 sacred planetary chains, DK seems to be focusing on the solar system in its current stage of manifestation. That is, on the present day manifesting planetary chains, of which 7 are sacred, in spite of the fact that our Earth is not one of those sacred ones. It's of a particular importance at this time because, again, of this quality of fourness. A passage from later in a treatise on cosmic fire gives us more insight on the importance of this fourth chain and the series of fours of which it is a part. This is an extended reading. We'll do 2 readers, please.
Maria Michaelis.
I'm here.
Great.
This scheme is considered as the fourth and the one of the most important in the system during this particular cycle for the following reasons. Our solar system being considered as of the fourth order and our scheme being the fourth in order, there is consequently a moment of special opportunity afforded our planetary logos through the alignment brought about. It eventuates in the turning of the attention of the logoic Kundalini fire towards this center, our scheme, and the subsequent results are in process of working out. Within the scheme, the chain that concerns us the most, and which is temporarily of the most vital importance to the planetary logos, is the Earth chain, the fourth in order again, thus bringing about another alignment of very grave moment. This carries with it special opportunity and permits of the entry of force from the cosmos itself, or of extra systemic electrical vitality. This super stimulation results in what looks to us like cataclysms and a stupendous shattering of forms, but it is simply the necessary sequence to the vitalization of the life within the form and the breaking of the limiting form unable to bear the cosmic action. Again, within the chain, the globe at present, receiving planetary polarization, or at present, embodying in a special sense, the life of the planetary logos is the Earth, the fourth in order. This brings about a still further alignment.
Thank you, Maria. And moving on, another reader, please.
Yeah, Martha, do you want to read?
I'd be happy to read. All these, it's how these are found. Is that where we pick up?
No,
Or-
add to the above facts.
Thank you, Francis. Add to the above facts the accepted knowledge that this is the fourth round, and we have a 5-fold alignment, which is of paramount significance to us all, though it had even greater significance and force in the fourth root race, and brought about that stupendous psychic event, the opening of the door of initiation to the human hierarchy. These very important facts merit close attention and the consideration of all occult students. They hold the key whereby some comprehension of manas and of planetary evolution may come about. What have we, therefore, in this special cyclic alignment? 1, a solar system of the fourth order. 2, the fourth scheme in the system. 3, the fourth chain in the scheme. 4, the fourth globe in the chain. 5, the fourth round. All these are found active within the same cycle, and all therefore bring about a simultaneous alignment which results in the clearing of a channel direct from the heart of our scheme through every ring pass knot to the cosmic correspondence found outside the solar sphere. To the above realization, we must add yet the further fact that the fourth creative hierarchy is the one whose evolution we are considering, and it will be apparent to the most superficial student that in these thoughts lies hidden the clue, not only to man, but to the entire cyclic evolution in which he is taking part.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think hopefully you're getting the sense of the import of this alignment. Finally, this fourth round finds a solution of its strenuous and chaotic life in the very simple fact of the shattering of the etheric web in order to effect liberation and permit a later and more adequate form to be employed. Okay, DK is now addressing the fourth round, or passage of the life wave through the 7 globes that make up the fourth chain. So this is the fourth time in this fourth chain that there's been a passage through these 7 globes that make up that fourth chain. The characterization of the fourth round as strenuous and chaotic is also a description of the energy of the fourth ray as it rules the fourth kingdom on this, our fourth globe. The quote, shattering of the etheric web occurs at the fourth initiation, along with the shattering of the causal body. Again, note the number 4. Once an initiate shatters the causal body, he inhabits his or her Buddhic sheath, a quote, more adequate form. If an initiate beyond the 4th degree wishes to incarnate, he or she creates a Maya Varupa, a Mayavic body. This is also a more adequate form, though he or she would still primarily be expressing himself through the form on the planes of Atma Buddhi Manas. Finally, DK seems to suggest that this fourth round of the fourth chain is particularly suited for the shattering of the etheric web as a means of effecting liberation, a theme he's been emphasizing over and over through the last few pages. Did I see a hand go up?
I think we have 2. I don't know if Christina has something to say, and then Robert's hands up, and there's a question in chat.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw Christina's mic open, so.
Oh, sorry. No, accident. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Yeah, Robert.
I'm a little confused by this phrase, the 7 sacred planetary chains. Because,
Yeah.
7 chains in a scheme, and if the earth chain is not a sacred, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I actually wrote a whole description of this, and then through writing that, my perspective went completely changed. And my initial understanding, and this might be part of the confusion, is that, let me get back there. Yeah, here it is. So where'd it go? Oh yeah, this earth chain, though not one of the 7 sacred planetary chains. So you could imagine that what he's talking about here is within the Earth scheme. He's talking, and that everything he's talking about is within the Earth scheme, and that within that Earth scheme, this is not one of the sacred planetary chains, which can really throw you because, hey, there are only 7 planetary chains.
Right.
So you're like, well, wait a minute. So if this is not one of the 7 sacred planetary chains, then there must be more chains, and we're now in one of the non-sacred chains. But then I realized what he's talking about, because everything you read is that there's only 7 chains. Is that he's talking of it? His use of the word chain is to instead of scheme. In other words, if he just said, this earth chain is not one of the 7 sacred planetary schemes, then we would, quickly come online with that, because he's said that many times, that there are 7 sacred planets, of which the Earth is not one, right?
Mhm.
But by putting it in this language, what he does is he fixes a time and space right now. At this time, there are 7 planetary chains underway. If in the solar system, there's all these planetary chains going on right now in time at this time, and that the one that's going on connected with the Earth scheme is not a sacred one, right? The chain is, because the planet itself is not sacred. However, and Michael makes a big point of this, that we're right on the cusp of becoming a sacred planet, and that so in a not so distant future time, the Earth will become a sacred planet. So this is his way of distinguishing that difference. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a bit of a sticky problem, but I don't think he's talking about there being other planetary chains that are sacred and some aren't sacred. I think he's talking about the planetary chain here as representative of the Earth scheme at this time and space. That's my
Okay.
understanding.
Okay, thank you. Let me chew on that one.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, there's a question in text. Is 4th order of the sun same as 4th incarnation of the sun?
No, it has to do with the fact that the 4th order is the fact that it has its consciousness. No, that's not the right word. It has its physical being on the Buddhic plane, on the 4th etheric plane. That makes it a 4th order solar system. That's what makes it a 4th order. Yeah. And that it is from that point that it will eventually break or escape onto the cosmic astral plane. I saw a hand.
Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry.
Hi.
Hi.
This passage is helping me understand an unusual experience I had in Hiroshima several years ago when I was meditating at the Peace Park, the ground zero where the bomb was exploded. And I've meditated in a lot of places, but never have I experienced such luminosity. It's the light substance was just so tangible and available. It was amazing, and I've always kind of associated that maybe there was a tear in the etheric web or something, but this passage here helps me kind of understand what that was about.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not politically correct to be talking about the positive aspects of the atomic bomb, especially, in those 2 places, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No, where was the other place?
Nagasaki.
Yeah, it was Nagasaki. Okay. But, DK says that this was a secret that wasn't supposed to be broached by the human race for not even in the Aquarian age, but I think it was in the Capricornian age, in that something shifted that allowed for this to be discovered, and that it's actually a great occult secret. And so you may have experienced, a quality of vibration of this renting or shattering of the etheric web. Interesting. Thanks for the story. Anyone else?
Yeah, Robert.
Yo,
Hi, I was thinking about what you said about the sacred chains, and I was looking at that sentence again. And how does this sound? If he's saying that this earth chain, though not a chain of one of the 7 sacred planets, is of vital importance at this time.
yeah, that's what I came to
Okay.
understand exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank
You
you.
know, and normally he would say this Earth scheme, though not one of the 7 sacred planetary schemes, but why does he compare the Earth to other planets by means of their chains rather than by means of their schemes? Well, the only thing that I can think of is the fact that by focusing on this Earth chain, he is focusing on the fact that it is this chain that is happening now. It is this 4th chain that is undergoing its evolution now. And that's the theme of this entire section, is that fact. And so even though it's not one of the 7 sacred planetary chains, meaning the other planets that are in their chains. So enough on that though. But thanks, Robert. That's I think we came into agreement on that. Anyone else? Okay, could we get a reader, please?
Yeah, Marianne.
Chain of ideas may be followed up in the remembrance that the 4th ether is even now being studied and developed by the average scientist and is already somewhat harnessed to the service of man. That the 4th subplane of...
Excuse me, where are you reading? Where are you reading?
I'm reading the paper I have in front of me on the computer.
Okay, it starts with a further chain of ideas, maybe followed by the remembrance.
Yes, that's what I read.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. So continue from where you left off. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. I start with I start after the average scientist, and it's already somewhat harnessed to the service of man, that the 4th subplane of the astral plane is the normal functioning ground of the average man, and that is this round escape from the etheric vehicle is being achieved. That the 4th subplane of the mental plane is the present goal of endeavor of 1/4 of the human family. That the 4th Manvantara will see the solar ring as not offering avenues of escape to those who have reached the necessary point. That the 4 planetary logoi will perfect their escape from their planetary environment and will function with greater ease of the cosmic astral plane, paralleling on the cosmic levels the achievement of the human units who are the cells in their bodies.
Thank you, Marianne.
Okay.
Okay, so DK, he's hammering the importance of 4-ness all through this paragraph, continuing this theme, right? He extends the list and impact of the energy of the number 4. So first we have a further chain of ideas may be followed up in the remembrance that the 4th ether is even now being studied and developed by the average scientist and is already somewhat harnessed to the service of man. Well, last time I checked, average scientists certainly do not acknowledge the 4th ether as such, but it seems to me that the sophisticated use of electricity, especially in computers, and also possibly nuclear power, may be demonstrating on the 4th etheric plane. Next, that the fourth subplane of the astral plane is the normal functioning ground of the average man, and that in this round, escape from the etheric vehicle is being achieved. GK reveals the significance of the human kingdom being on the fourth astral plane in this passage from later in a treatise on cosmic fire. Could we get a reader, please?
Nisa.
On the fourth subplane of the astral plane, a similar activity will be noted as in process. Excuse me. The inflowing force will cause an astral stimulation in the bodies of many of the human family who are still on that subplane, and will bring about an awakening of the desire for harmony in a new manner. This will work out relatively well in the sixth subrace. It should be remembered that numbers of the old Atlanteans, fourth root race men, will respond to the stimulation and will find their way into incarnation at that time, for the 4 and the 6 are always closely allied.
Okay, so, this is interesting. It says it will bring about a desire for harmony. And, what's the name of the fourth ray? Harmony through conflict. So we see that this, the fact that humanity is on this fourth subplane of the astral plane, that that the fourth ray, through the resonant vibration with the ray, so that the ray and the fourth subplane of the astral plane are in a resonant vibration, which then allows for this harmonious quality to emerge. I hope you're trying to get a sense of the nature of this transformative energy of fourness. So taken together, these two statements indicate stimulation of activity on the fourth subplane of both the physical etheric and the astral plane, the latter of which will foster in humanity an awakening of the desire for harmony in a new manner. Next, that the fourth subplane of the mental is the present goal of endeavor of 1/4 of the human family. This 1/4 is comprised of the thinkers of the race, or strictly speaking, those who are developing true personality expression, if not total personality integration. In this context, the fourth subplane is important because, quote, the personality ring pass knot is on the fourth subplane of the mental plane. Could we get a reader for this short passage?
Robert.
I'm getting there. On the fourth subplane of the mental plane, man begins to control his causal or egoic body and to polarize his consciousness therein until the polarization is complete. He functions then consciously on it when he has mastered the correspondences to the ethers on the mental plane.
Thanks, Robert. So, scientists are beginning to work with matter on the fourth subplane of the physical plane. Humanity, quote, awakens the desire for harmony in a new manner on the fourth subplane of the astral, and on the fourth subplane of the mental plane, aspirational, intelligent man begins to control his causal body. Race initiation gives us a deeply occult insight into how control of the astral body comes about. Could we get a reader, please?
Tia, you want to read?
Heads up, this is one of the most important passages in connection with the work we're looking at today. So It's very occult, but very important. Yes, go ahead.
That electrical unit or phenomenon of electricity, which we call the fourth kingdom in nature, on this fourth subplane of the mental plane, esoterically ejects the unit of electricity, which is ready to be absorbed by the higher form of electricity. Fire by friction dies out and solar fire takes its place. And the relationship between the two higher forms of electricity becomes established.
Thank you, Tia. Any thoughts or questions about this? So in this quote, we have an important clue as to the electrical nature of the human being, or the human kingdom, as well as to why the energy unique to the number 4 acts as an agent of transformation. For we learn here, it is on the 4th subplane, the middle plane, that the disciple is able to transition from the influence of fire by friction to that of solar fire, thus creating a direct relationship with the realm of electric fire. I think this is a real esoteric key into the nature of the energy of fourness, of that transitional quality of the 4th. That we have this huge lineup happening right now. Next, the 4th Manvantara will see the solar ring pass knot offering avenues of escape to those who have reached the necessary point. So a planetary Manvantara is a cycle of physical incarnation for planetary logos. Our planetary logos is currently in its 4th Manvantara, also called a round. And a day of Brahma. We get further insight into our current round's relationship to the number 4 in this short passage from Esoteric Psychology, Volume 1. Can we get a reader, please?
Yeah, Catherine.
The only ray which stands alone and has no close relationship with any of the others is the 4th. This brings to mind the unique position which the number 4 occupies in the evolutionary process. We have the 4th root race, the 4th planetary chain, the 4th planet in the chain, the 4th planetary Manvantara, etc.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So escape beyond the solar ring pass knot happens at the 7th initiation, for which DK seems to imply there's a particular opportunity during this round, this 4th round. Finally, the 4 planetary logi will perfect their escape from their planetary environment and will function with greater ease on the cosmic astral plane, paralleling on cosmic levels the achievement of the human units who are the cells in their bodies. The 4 planetary logi here cited are those associated with the rays of attribute, which are particularly involved with manas in connection with humanity and with the development of manas, demonstration of manas. DK doesn't directly give us the names of these planets, but if we use the planets who manifest the rays of attribute, they are Mercury for 4, Venus 5, Mars 6, and Uranus the 7th, as previously discussed. In addition, we know from a passage later in TCF that the Lord of Venus holds place in the Logoic quaternary, as does the Lord of Earth. Well, the inclusion of Venus is a confirmation, right, being one of the rays of attribute. But the Earth, as a 3rd ray planet, is not part of this group. For this reason, the identity of the 4 planetary logi here cited remains an open question. A passage from later in TCFs gives us more info on a planetary logoic escape from the ring past knot of the cosmic physical plane, illustrated here in this lower white part, and its effect on the human kingdom. Can we get a reader for this?
Yeah, Joan.
As regards the fire of spirit or pure electric fire that is finally synthesized with the other two and brings about the escape of the life on to another plane cosmically considered, a heavenly man, the blending of the fire of matter and of mind liberates from the three planes of his manifestation. The blending of the electric fire in his case brings about escape from the planetary ring past knot and enables him to function consciously on the cosmic astral plane. A man, the blending of the fire of matter and of the fire of mind liberates from the three worlds. The blending of electric fire with the two other fires brings about liberation from the five lower planes and enables a man to function consciously on the cosmic, etheric, physical plane.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up, DK extends the subject of liberation to a solar logos. Could we get a reader for this?
Heike.
Our solar logos, being a logos of the fourth order, will begin to coordinate his cosmic Buddhic body. And as he develops cosmic mind, he will gradually achieve, by the aid of that mind, the ability to touch the cosmic Buddhic plane. These possibilities and correspondences have been somewhat dwelt upon, as it is necessary for us to realize the work to be done in connection with the etheric web before we take up the matter of the various causes which may hinder the desired progress and prevent the appointed escape and destined liberation. Later we will take up the consideration of the etheric web and its static condition.
Thank you. Okay, so first, our solar logos, being a logos of the fourth order, will begin to coordinate his cosmic Buddhic body. So being of the fourth order means that our solar logos, quote, has its location on the fourth cosmic etheric plane. We learned earlier, at least as regards a disciple, that coordination of the Buddhic vehicle automatically begins when a disciple contacts the Buddhic plane. We might hypothesize that the same is true for a solar logos. Next, and as he develops cosmic mind, excuse me, he will gradually achieve, by the aid of that mind, the ability to touch the cosmic Buddhic plane. Here are the two planes sided. This little sliver down here at the bottom represents the Buddhic plane. Here you see it on the chart we often use. And then the higher equivalent, the cosmic Buddhic, which is also a fourth plane. Right? So we have the cosmic etheric, ether, which makes our solar logos a fourth order solar system, and the goal of his endeavor, the fourth cosmic plane, the cosmic Buddhic plane. Again, the resonance through fourness is emphasized, right? DK is definitely implying that it is because the solar logos has its quote unquote location on the fourth cosmic etheric plane that its goal is able to be the cosmic Buddhic plane. And just as it is for a disciple, this goal is accomplished through development of the monastic principle. Could we get a reader for this, please? These two quotes.
Joe.
Interesting. And as he develops cosmic mind, he will gradually achieve, by the aid of that mind, the ability to touch the cosmic Buddhic plane. Our solar system is what is called a system of the fourth order. That is, it has its location on the fourth cosmic etheric plane, counting as always from above downward.
Though, in fact, it's also the fourth if you count from below upwards. Okay, thank you, Joe. So let's take a look at what MDR has to say about this passage. A reader, please.
Kira.
Hi. The Solar Logos has for its goal the third cosmic initiation, so he is definitely developing what is here called cosmic mind. By the end of this Manvantara, he is to take the cosmic fourth initiation, which will mean release onto the cosmic Buddhic plane. For now, through developing mind, he is simply seeking the ability to touch the cosmic Buddhic plane.
So you see the parallels here, right? That the when a disciple even faintly touches the cosmic etheric Buddhic, the cosmic physical etheric, what we call the Buddhic plane, it just barely touches. That opens a door for release from the fourth physical ether, right? Escape onto the astral, and eventually escape from the astral and then from the monastic. But it's that touching of the Buddhic that allows that to happen. And we see an exact parallel here, right? That when through the development of mind and the cosmic fourth initiation, there will be in the previous stage, which he's now in, he has his etheric vehicle on the cosmic etheric plane, the Buddhic plane, and that allows him to touch in the same way that cosmic Buddhic plane, and that will lead to this liberation onto that plane when he's at the end of this solar system, when he's able to take his fourth initiation. So there's an exact parallel between the disciple and solar logos, which is somewhat astonishing. You think the rules might change, but there's such a demonstration of as above, so below in this. Okay, let's see here. Next up.
Robert has a comment. And in addition to that, Maria Christina put in the Adam statement from TCF in chat.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Robert.
I have to say, I find DK's language here kind of sobering. He's not talking about the joyous, endless journey of expansion through the planes and dimensions. He's talking about escape, liberation, hindered progress. And, it's as if we're all stuck in a really big video game that if you think you're going to get liberated by taking the higher initiations on our level, it's just the beginning of trying to get liberated from some endless I don't want to say morass or,
Yeah, but I
labyrinth.
think it's actually accurate to say morass. You have to look, this is the perspective of a master of wisdom who's a fifth initiate. And he's already liberated himself from the personality ring past not. And he can only see that in terms of escape, wishing for us the ability to escape from that, but I agree with you. It is, it's not written in roomy style language. It's very, it's almost first ray in its quality of, imprisonment and release and liberation, yeah.
No, that's one of the first grade references, a really good way of talking about it, because clearly this is a journey that has both its light-filled, joyous side and its shadow side too. And so I think, and he knows what he's doing when he writes these things. So anyway, it just kind of brings up in my own mind kind of speculations on how did this all begin, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
Yeah. Strictly speaking, by the way, this is more of a fifth ray exegesis than it is a first ray. Otherwise,
but what you said about liberation and imprisonment, I think that was accurate.
That aspect of it is first ray. Anyone else? Okay, next up, these possibilities and correspondences have been somewhat dwelt upon. Here's a list of this inspired me to go back and just look at all the references to the number 4 that he has made over the last really just 3 pages, 12, 13, 14, 4 pages. So we won't go through these. This is just meant to be a visual, but you can see the alignment, and that all of these have to do with this energy of transformation, of release, of bridging, right, from one reality to the next. And that passage from Raised Initiations that talked about the movement on the fourth subplane of the mental plane from fire by friction into the field of solar fire, I think gives us a key as to what this is all about, what this energy is about. We also get it in just the ray name of the harmony, right, that is achieved, of course, through conflict. That's the stage that occurs before, but this transition actually is a demonstration of harmony, which immediately then allows one to transform onto the next higher level. Okay. Next up, as it is necessary for us to realize the work to be done in connection with the etheric web. This work is liberation from matter, from personality influence, demonstrating on the 3 lower subplanes for disciples and lesser initiates, and liberation from the cosmic physical plane for planetary logi and for initiates of the 7th degree. And finally, DK gives us an introduction to the upcoming material. It's necessary for us to realize the work to be done in connection with the etheric web before we take up the matter of the various causes which may hinder the desired progress and prevent the appointed escape and destined liberation. There's that wording again. Later we will take up the consideration of the etheric web and its quote unquote static condition. Okay, next up, could we get a reader, please?
Kirsten.
This will entail the recollection of 2 things. First, that the static condition is only so when viewed from the standpoint of man at the present time, and is only termed so in order to make plainer the changes that must be affected and the dangers that must be offset. Evolution moves so slowly from man's point of view that it seems to be almost stationary, especially where etheric evolution is concerned. Second, that we are only concerning ourselves with the physical etheric body and not with its correspondences on all planes. This is because our system is on the cosmic etheric levels and hence is of prime importance to us.
Okay, I saw a hand go up.
Yeah, Robert.
I just want to come back for a moment to what we were talking about in this elaborate morass. The birth of a child. You remember in the introductory postulates to cosmic fire, you have the absolute, the three cosmic logoi, and then the generation of the countless manifesting universes, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
When a child is born, that baby comes out, gets slapped, he or she gets slapped, he cries, can't walk, can't communicate. And I always thought that maybe that was an issue of the kind of the earth world we live in and its difficulties. But it seems like everything has to go through that, whether it's a universe or, it's going to get slapped, it's going to not be able to walk. And it has to, if it's going to evolve into whatever the absolute wants it to be, whatever to go, it's going to have to go through this very, very difficult process of to attain ultimate liberation and fulfillment.
Yeah, I think that's why the first initiation is called birth, because you are in the same, somewhat helpless condition in reference to the higher realities as you are as a child born into physical reality. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Instead of like, oh, I'm a first initiation, I'm great. you're helpless. I think that's
you're helpless in the new realm.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So first up, this will entail the recollection of two things. First, that this static condition, he's talking about the etheric body, right? So the static condition is only so when viewed from the standpoint of man at the present time, and is only termed so in order to make plainer the changes that must be affected and the dangers that must be offset. So we might assume from this statement that over longer periods, such as that of a planetary round, the etheric vehicle does change, adapting to the many involutional and evolutional phases of existence. Next, evolution moves so slowly from man's point of view that it seems to be almost stationary, especially where etheric evolution is concerned. So again, he's implying that changes in the etheric vehicle cannot be perceived from such a limited time frame, but that in fact, there are changes over the course of much longer periods of time. Second, that we are only concerning ourselves with the physical etheric body and not with its correspondences on all planes. So here's the physical etheric, which is what he's talking about here. And here are its higher correspondences, which he's not going to be discussing at this point. Next, this is because our system is on the cosmic etheric levels and hence is of prime importance to us. So let's take a look at MDR's comment on this statement. Can we get a reader, please?
Joe.
Oh, I will read. Thank you. I'm laughing at Maria. Yes, indeed. It is interesting to read that our system is on the cosmic etheric levels. Our system is the vehicle of expression for our solar logos. For this logos, his etheric body is considered his real body, and the four cosmic ethers are his physical focus, not the three lower systemic planes, which are considered dense and not a principle.
Yeah, it's a good point. This idea of non-principle and a principle, we'll be getting into that. But that's part of why the solar system is considered a system of the fourth order. Okay, next up, we move into the second section on this chapter. Here we are down here, cosmic and systemic ethers. Could we get a reader, please?
Christina.
Okay, although before I start, I just wonder about the incredible emphasis and meaning between the mental and the Buddhic. Where is that connection that has to be fulfilled, if you will? And I just wonder about the heart, how, maybe I'll say this question, how the heart will come into play into all of this. Yes, the mind, but also the heart of humanity is awakening. And when we talk about evoking the soul of humanity, we often are talking about evoking the heart of humanity, even if we do so on the mental. But anyway, that's kind of a side comment.
Okay, but yeah, I want to address it though, because it's important. First of all, on the higher mental plane, which is, the fourth subplane of the mental is the means by which you become aware of the causal body. But what you're becoming aware of is the second principle, which relates to the second ray, which is love, wisdom, and whose organ of experience is the heart, right? When we make the transfer of energy from solar plexus to heart, what we're doing is moving from personality to soul awareness. And so you could say that the heart energy opens the path. In fact, DK says this, it literally reveals the path to soul awareness. And so it seems like it's talking about mind because it's mental, but what he's really showing here is that the mind is the means by which we become aware of our own soul, and how that awareness then pitches us onto the Buddhic plane, which is the source of love, wisdom.
I'll chew on it.
Okay. There's more connection there than meets the eye.
Yeah, cosmic and systemic ethers. And thank you. Cosmic and systemic ethers. For the sake of those who read this treatise, and because a sequential repetition of fact makes for clarity, let us here briefly tabulate certain fundamental hypotheses that have a definite bearing upon the matter in hand, and which may serve to clear up the present existing confusion concerning the matter of the solar system. Some of the facts stated are already well known, others are inferential, while some are the expressions of old and true correspondences couched in a more modern form. A, the lowest cosmic plane is the cosmic physical, and it is the only one which the finite mind of man can in any way comprehend. B, this cosmic physical plane exists in matter differentiated into 7 qualities, groups, grades, or vibration. C, these 7 differentiations are the 7 major planes of our solar system.
Thank you, Mary Christina. Okay, so this passage, we've really turned a corner here, right? We just finished this extraordinary emphasis on the number 4, on the energy of fourness, which is bridging transformative energy, and of the extraordinary alignment that is happening at this time, and how that bridging influence affects discipleship, right? How we take advantage of that to move from our, he describes the square and the cube as prisons, right? The imprisoning cube, right? So this is a different kind of four, which is the ability, that place between the three and the three, that allows for transition from one to the other. But now we're getting into something quite different. So this passage is the introduction to chart 3. Here's the pages, here's where we've been reading, and here's chart 3, which appears on the facing page and which is probably the single most referenced of all DK's charts. Subsequent versions of this chart added additional DK material, such as the location and makeup of the Egoic Lotus and the location of the etheric centers. So, after an introductory paragraph, DK lists 3 fundamental hypotheses, which are often among the first concepts learned by DK students. I would imagine everyone here is at least somewhat familiar with these, if not, knowing them quite well. So before I start, Robert?
Well, I was actually going to talk about A, so maybe just, keep going.
Okay, so A, the lowest cosmic plane is the cosmic physical, and it is the only one which the finite mind of I did the same thing Marie Christina did. The mind of man can in any way comprehend. Okay, the most spiritual states we can possibly conceive all take place on the cosmic physical plane. In fact, most of us are only seeking to make contact with a higher mental plane. The chart on the left shows the 7 cosmic planes. In this chart, the cosmic physical plane is expanded compared to the other cosmic planes in order to show more detail. This bottom section corresponds to the chart on the right, but it also gives us additional information. For example, it shows the ring past knots of the 3 principles of a human being, as well as the monadic ray groups on both the monadic and logoic subplanes, talking about here, and their connection to the 7 rishis of the Great Bear on the cosmic Buddhic plane. So this is a really useful chart. You wanted to comment on A before we go on?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that there can be such a thing as a lowest plane. And I wonder if we're kind of on a need-to-know basis with this information.
Well, there is the 8th sphere.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just, everything's infinite and expanded in every direction, So anyway,
yeah,
kind of.
Well, we talked for some time about the 8th sphere in a previous webinar. And,
yeah,
we did
remember.
And I know in one of the old commentaries, it's in the stanzas in Treatise on Cosmic Fire, he's talking about being in this cave, right? And he said, beware that the mud beneath your feet holds you where you are, something to that extent, and suggesting that it's possible even to go beneath this lowest defined space, right?
I wonder if it's in some way potentially related to the first solar system. What is below?
The first solar system relates to the physical aspect. Its highest, its pralaya was the Buddhic plane, so its highest possible planes that could be reached were the physical, astral, and mental plane. There's no mention of the eighth sphere in connection with the previous solar system that I've ever found, though, you know, it only makes sense that it was also a part of that system. But, you know, initiation at that time would have been intellectual, to move into the highest reaches of physical development, right?
I've always had a bit of a Pandora complex, so maybe I should leave that box unopened.
Yeah. Anyone else? I thought I saw another hand.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
I've seen this picture before and always wondered, can you little describe what are the three ring pass knots? I think I can recognize the first one, but the second and the third.
Oh, yeah, well, the second one you could say is the full realm of soul awareness, which would, you know, the soul on its own plane has triadal awareness, right? The soul, as it's experienced by the personality, transcends this lowest ring gradually, step by step, through these higher subplanes of the mental plane, right? And through the building of the antikrana, one reaches the monastic permanent atom, which is where my arrow is right here, right? But the full soul experience, that is to say, the form aspect of the monad, you know, because the soul can also be seen as the form of the monad expressing itself through the triad. And then there's this dropped point into the causal body. And that's what's represented by this second, the full possible awareness of what you could call solar fire or solar awareness. And then you transcend into monadic awareness and the realm of the monad. I think that's clearer here. But there's, you know, many intermediate stages here, because this actually suggests seventh initiation level, not just sixth, which would be expansion into the monad. Seventh initiation is when you reach this level of complete mastery of the cosmic physical.
In short, could you say that when you pass the second ring pass knot, then you are liberated from the planetary prison, and the third, then you are liberated from the solar prison?
Yeah, when you pass, that's, I think that's correct. Yes,
okay,
that's correct.
Okay.
At this level, and you know, at the triadal consciousness is planetary consciousness, right? Atma Buddhi Manas, Manas being the form or expression of the Atma Buddhi consciousness. That's planetary. You are then aligned with planetary consciousness. So when you pass this ring pass knot, and in fact, that might be a good way to describe this ring, would be moving beyond planetary consciousness, right? Graduating into, and also even you could say the fifth kingdom, because true oneness on monadic levels is a sixth initiation level. We're going to be talking about that not that far in the next couple of webinars. And then the seventh initiation, which is, you know, the Christ and the Buddha are now at the stand at the borders of this ring pass knot, and are constrained from moving beyond it because of their service orientation to the planet. That's what takes you beyond the solar system.
Okay, so
And
many
so
liberations ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else? Okay, let's see here. Where are we? Okay, so next up, B. The cosmic physical plane exists in matter differentiated into 7 qualities, groups, grades, or vibrations. So, you know, even when you seem to be going over material that you think you know as well as the back of your hand. You know, it's useful to look at his wording. It's differentiated into 7 qualities. Qualities is a term very much connected with the second principle, right? Rays, for instance, are considered qualitative, right? And of course, the 7 planes are associated with those 7 rays and with 7 qualities. And then he moves into groups, into 7 groups. Well, you could translate this as being, you know, the 7 subplanes form a group, which are have a unified expression. Of course, grades is pretty clear. And then seeing them as having distinct vibrations is also useful. So it can be quite helpful to slow down a bit and not say, oh, well, I know this stuff, and take a closer look. Let's see, the 7-fold differentiation is the work of the 3rd logos during the first outpouring, as shown here. In other words, that's when these 7 planes of substance were created, which, just by the way, stanza 2 of the stanzas of Zan in TCF details over like 3 or 4 pages of old commentary. Next, C. These 7 differentiations are the 7 major planes of our solar system. These 7 material differentiations contain all aspects of that which manifests in this solar system. The higher principles of the sacred planets and the solar logos, which exist on the cosmic, astral, and cosmic mental planes, are not considered to be part of the solar system. Said another way, that which has its consciousness on the cosmic, astral, or higher planes has its physical etheric vehicle in this solar system, but not its consciousness aspect. Okay, next up, could we get a reader for this short end of page paragraph?
Yeah, Maria Michaelis.
Okie dokie. For purposes of clarity, we might here tabulate under the headings physical, systemic, and cosmic, so that the relationship and the correspondences may be apparent, and the connection to that which is above and to that which is below or included may be plainly seen.
Thank you, Maria. So this sentence refers in part, not all of this sentence, but most of it refers to the chart that follows, entitled The Constitution of Man. The page that follows this chart lists the subplanes of the systemic physical plane, the cosmic physical plane, and the cosmic planes in 3 columns, right? First column references the etheric and dense physical subplanes of the systemic physical plane, right? We've been talking about, for instance, this 4th ether for the last many pages as it relates to the intuitional plane here. So, but this column is just talking about this lowest physical plane. From top to bottom, they are first, the atomic plane or the first ether, second, the subatomic, designated in the chart as the 2nd ether, and third, the super etheric or 3rd ether. The plane of union is the 4th subplane called the etheric. Finally, subplanes 5, 6, and 7 are the gaseous, liquid, and dense physical subplanes. Okay? The second column references the subplanes of the cosmic physical plane, not the systemic, but now the cosmic physical plane, which DK here calls the systemic planes. They are first, the divine or Adi plane made up of primordial matter. Second, the monadic or Anupuddaka plane made up of Akashic substance. Third, the spiritual or Atmic plane made up of cosmic etheric substance. Fourth, the intuitional or Buddhic plane whose associated element is air. Fifth, the mental or monastic plane whose associated element is fire. Sixth, the astral or emotional plane whose associated element is water. And finally, the seventh, the physical plane made up of the 4 etheric subplanes, as well as the gaseous, liquid, and dense physical planes whose associated element is earth. The third column references the 7 cosmic planes called the atomic or first ether, the subatomic or second ether, the third ether, then the fourth ether on the plane of the union or at one-ment, followed by the gaseous, subetheric, liquid, and dense physical planes. This last being the entire cosmic physical plane. So, many of you know this info like the back of your hand, but since it appears in the text and is a fundamental tenet of DK theosophy, I thought it was worth going over. Also, this column, there was no chart at this point in TCF to refer this to. So it's interesting to have a chart later formulated to describe that column. The chart itself gives us further information. We're talking about the chart on page 117, where we are in our reading. Here we learn that the lower 6 subplanes are divided into 3 sections or principles. The monad, covering the 7 subplanes of the monadic plane. The spiritual triad, covering the Atmic and Buddhic planes, as well as the first subplane of the mental plane. And the personality, covering the lower 4 subplanes of the mental plane, as well as the subplanes of the astral and physical planes. The central part of the chart illustrates 3 triangles, as well as the location of the 3 lower permanent atoms of a human being. Here we see that the points on the monadic triangle represent will, wisdom, and activity, each having their counterpart represented by a dotted line, extending down into the spiritual triad, where will becomes spiritual will on the first subplane of the Atmic plane, the level of the Atmic permanent atom. Wisdom becomes intuition on the first subplane of the Buddhic plane, the level of the Buddhic permanent atom, and activity becomes mind on the first subplane of the mental plane, the level of the monastic permanent atom. Beneath this double triangle, on the third subplane of the mental plane, is a small triangle representing the ego or causal body. Finally, on the fourth subplane of the mental plane, we see the mental unit connected by a dotted line to the astral permanent atom on the first subplane of the astral, the physical permanent atom on the first subplane of the physical plane. As mentioned before, since this chart was published, charts based on this first chart have been created, but illustrating additional concepts, which are mostly found later in TCF. The biggest changes are in the central column, which details the egoic lotus, the location of the etheric centers in the lower 3 sheaths, as well as lines of energetic interconnection between the egoic lotus and the triad, and the etheric centers and the permanent atoms. And finally, I know we're out of time, but I just want to finish this up. Finally, Tuya Robbins has given us further details on the mental subplanes of the cosmic physical plane. So these are very, very much worth spending time poring over. And we've posted all 3 of these charts in the chat box. So, download them if you would just like a copy or would like to study them further. And that's all we're going to do for today.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that although you put the YouTube forward, the Makara page will have all of these charts, documents, your transcripts, your presentation, plus references to MDR's comments about these pages.
Yeah, good. Thank you for that. Yeah, this is, like I said before, it started by looking like this, and it's easily the most commonly referenced chart. Certainly has helped us understand the concepts that DK puts out. So
I think Tom has something.
Yeah, Tom.
Just wanted to know the middle chart and the chart on the right. Is there somewhere explained all these lines and all these connections in one spot, or I have seen the pictures, but I don't understand all the lines. So.
Right. Well, actually, if you let's see, let me go back up. Yeah, if you look closely, they make a lot of it is self-explanatory, but I could see how it could be useful, to see how, for instance, we have here the head center and the base of the spine. Well, that's the path. Well, down here, that's the path of the Kundalini, right? And that's the means by which that is connected. And we have the solar plexus to the heart, and of course that's the second transition in terms of the energetic centers from the solar plexus to the heart. So a lot of these you could suss out yourself. I don't know if anyone has actually just, taken the excerpts from DK that describe these connections and put them in one place or not. So,
that would be a very useful map for enlightenment.
It would, wouldn't it?
Just read it and you're liberated. Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay, all, thank you very much for coming today.